So what I want you to do is I want you to think about a narcissist as though they are a predator. They're looking for the weakest prey in the population in order to get their supply. And by supply, I mean they need to have that adoration. They need to have somebody who's fawning over them and loving them and doing whatever they need them to do without having to give back. So they're looking for their next prey. That's what I want you to think about. So you are seen as prey. You are not seen as somebody to be valued and loved. You're not. And so the way that they do this is they look in the population for people who appear emotionally weak, who don't have a lot of boundaries, people who seem desperate. And so you're going to see a lot of this with situationships. You're going to see a lot of that happening, especially with people who have attachment issues. And so they can tell, it's like they have this nose that they can smell it on you. The trauma that you've gone through, they can smell it on you. And they know that you are a weak target. They aren't going to approach someone for a situationship that is good for themselves, that it's okay being alone. They're not going to do that. They're going to find somebody who really seems to want a connection to the point where they'll take anything. And that tends to happen to a lot of people these days. A lot of people. Plus the internet's made it a lot easier to do that. But they will sniff out the weakest people in order to do this. And they'll love bomb them. And what that does is that reinforces. It's like the drug. It's like getting your first high off of a drug. And as a person who maybe didn't get enough attention, this person coming at you, giving you all of this attention and all of this love and making you feel like you're a 100%, that is going to hook you in. So they've gotten the hook into you. They've caught you with their love bombing. They've made you feel really good. And then eventually over time, so it's going to last for a little bit, you're going to have all of those highs, but they'll become less and less and less and less and less over time. So eventually, what they're going to do, and this is called breadcrumbing, and this is the big one. This is what messes people up so bad. This is what can impact your mental health. So you already come from a situation where there's trauma. You already have that happening. You already feel like you're this big. They know how to do it. They know how to find you. So they're going to start making you feel like you're this big and that you can't live without them. And if you try to live without them, they're going to find the thing that you are the most insecure about and pick at it. And this seems very evil, and it is. I think a lot of times they see it as like a means of getting love. This is how they've been taught to have love, to get love. And they don't believe in real love. They don't believe it exists, which is sad, because it does. But the breadcrumbing, this is where it becomes problematic. The love bombing is great, but it does get you addicted to that high of needing that attention. What they're going to do is they're going to start being inconsistent with that attention. You're going to notice them paying attention to more things. And I saw an illustration on here once, and I almost broke down in tears. Because you have this heart that you're giving to this person, and they're taking chunks out of it and leaving nothing behind. You have nothing. They're not giving you anything. They're giving you less and less to fill those voids that they take the chunk of the heart out of. And so they become more and more surface level. So maybe they divulged information to you in the beginning. They become less and less engaged in the conversations. They divulged less and less information. They communicate less and less. And you start fiending for that attention because it is an addiction. It's an addiction to a person and to the feelings of it's the dopamine that you get from being given that love and that attention. So if you already have trauma, chances are you're taking this attention to fill that void. And they're using that to get their supply. I want you to think about it like an energy vampire. And if you've seen What We Do in the Shadows, and you understand what that means, and if you haven't, you should definitely watch the episode about the energy vampire and What We Do in the Shadows. It's my favorite way to illustrate it. But they're only going to start responding when they're prompted to respond too. So they're going to stop texting you or calling you less, unless you give them a guilt trip. They put you in the position where you start having to beg for it, and that makes them feel even better. And that's the sad part, because they see you as much less than. They see themselves as so much better, and so actually, deep down they feel like they're nothing. But their ego says, this is how you make yourself feel better, is you make someone feel less than you. So they start doing that to you, who they're supposed to love. They start breadcrumbing you. Breadcrumbing. Putting little pieces of attention here and there. And it literally becomes less and less. And so what you start doing, especially if you've come from trauma, and especially if you have some sort of anxiety issues, is you start becoming, it's like a deprivation too. They start depriving you of things that you need. Whether that's outside influences, you need friends, they're going to start dropping to the side because they're noticing that you're turning into a hot mess. You're an anxious mess. You can't be counted on. You're fiending for your next hit of their attention. You're becoming less and less able to control yourself. You have nothing. You don't own you anymore. They own you. And it's the same thing with an addiction. Like if you're addicted to a substance, but you're addicted to this person. You think that it's all normal because you don't know any better, because you've probably never been shown that kind of love where it's consistent. And so you stick with it, hoping that the next fix, they'll fix things. And so you may even communicate and beg them to change. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'll change. And then they don't. And it's devastating because you notice they might change like once for a little bit. And then they go right back to how they are because they're so invested in keeping you on that leash. They'll do whatever it takes. Manipulation. A narcissist. You also have no one else that you're getting your needs met by because you probably are a pretty loyal person. You want to be loved and you want to be in a relationship. They're probably going to multiple people. So you have committed to this person who's not meeting your needs, who's breadcrumbing you, who's making you crazy, who's bringing out the worst in you. The mental health issues abound. The depression, the anxiety. Finally, your physical body will start reacting. The only person who can save you is yourself, and it's the same as an addiction. You can't feel guilty, because that doesn't help, but you do need to recognize where you're at and what this does for you. I want you to think, how much have they put into you? How much good have you gotten out of this? And if you can't answer with more than maybe 10% of the relationship was good, there's your answer. I need you to remember that you're important and you do deserve love. Here's what I'm going to tell you. It's time to take back your power, because that's what they've taken from you the whole time. Take back your power. Take back the ownership of you. Take care of you. Start looking into healing. Start educating yourself on narcissistic personality disorder. Start looking into trauma bonding. Start doing breathing exercises. Work on being better and doing better for you. But anyway, love to you all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.